I remember that Christmas vividly, the one that went terribly wrong. It was supposed to be a joyous occasion filled with warmth and laughter. Instead, it turned into a nightmarish ordeal that still haunts me to this day. My family and I had gathered at my grandparents' old farmhouse, a cozy and rustic place that had seen more than its fair share of holiday celebrations. The snow had blanketed the landscape, creating a serene and picturesque scene outside. Inside, the house was filled with the comforting scent of evergreen, cinnamon, and my grandmother's famous sugar cookies. As the day wore on, we exchanged gifts, shared stories, and indulged in delicious home-cooked meals. The laughter and joy of the holiday season were in full swing, and everything seemed perfect. Little did we know that darkness was creeping in, waiting for its moment to strike. It started innocently enough, with small things that we initially brushed off as coincidences. Lights flickered sporadically, and we heard strange creaking noises from the old wooden floors, but it was an old house, and we attributed it to its age. As night fell and we gathered around the Christmas tree to sing carols, the unease in the room grew. My cousin, Sarah, claimed she saw a shadowy figure move past the window, but when we all looked, there was nothing there. My grandmother, who had lived in that house for decades, assured us that it was just our imagination playing tricks on us. The atmosphere continued to deteriorate. The once welcoming warmth of the house now felt stifling, as if an invisible hand was squeezing the life out of the room. We tried to shake off our unease by playing board games, but the tension in the air was palpable. That's when we heard it, a faint, eerie whisper that seemed to emanate from the walls themselves. We strained our ears to listen, but the words were unintelligible. My heart raced as a feeling of dread washed over me. I looked around, searching for answers, but everyone else seemed just as terrified and confused. My grandfather, always the pillar of strength, decided to investigate. Armed with a flashlight, he ventured into the basement, where the whispering seemed to be coming from. The minutes dragged on as we waited in silence, the air heavy with uncertainty. Suddenly, we heard my grandfather's frantic footsteps rushing up the creaky stairs. He burst into the room, his face drained of color. His voice trembled as he told us what he had found in the basement. An old dusty Ouija board lay on the floor, its planchette moving on its own, spelling out ominous messages. The spirits, it seemed, were trying to communicate with us. Fear gripped us all as we realized the gravity of the situation. We decided to pack up and leave, but as we hurriedly gathered our things, the shadows in the house seemed to come to life. Figures moved in the corners of our vision, and ghostly apparitions appeared in the mirrors. We stumbled out of the house into the bitter cold, desperate to escape whatever malevolent force had taken hold of our beloved holiday gathering. But the horror was not over yet. The snowstorm outside had intensified, making the roads impassable. We were stranded. We huddled in our cars, trying to keep warm, but the fear of what we had left behind in the farmhouse gnawed at our souls. My cousin, Sarah, who had seen the shadowy figure earlier, suddenly screamed. She pointed at the farmhouse window where a ghastly face pressed against the glass, its eyes empty and soulless. Panic spread through our group like wildfire. We frantically dialed 911, but there was no signal. It was as if the farmhouse itself was blocking our calls for help. We were trapped at the mercy of whatever malevolent presence inhabited the old house. Hours passed, and the whispering grew louder and more insistent, filling our minds with terror. We huddled together for warmth and safety, praying for dawn to break and release us from this nightmare. Finally, as the first light of Christmas morning crept over the horizon, the horror began to recede. The shadows retreated, and the oppressive atmosphere lifted. With trepidation, we made our way back into the farmhouse. What we found was a scene of chaos and devastation. Furniture was overturned, ornaments shattered, and the Ouija board lay in pieces. It was as if a malevolent force had unleashed its fury upon the house. We left the farmhouse that morning, vowing never to return. The memory of that Christmas gone wrong still haunts us, a reminder that even in the midst of celebration, darkness can descend and turn joy into terror. Every Christmas since, I can't help but wonder if the malevolent presence still lingers in that old farmhouse, waiting for its next opportunity to strike.